we are here to discuss about the purchasing life cycle. Each and every organization needs to procure stuffs, needs to procure something. What are the materials? What are the items we can procure? What do we purchase? We procure material, and as well as we procure services. What kind of services we procure? Suppose AC cleaning service or day-to-day cleaning services we call maid, and we give some labor charges or maybe salary or wages to that labor. I'm just trying to create an analogy that how a business house operates, in the same way your own house operates also, right? Because you are also consuming something, you are also procuring something. Yeah, here it is relevant because we are working on purchasing cycle. We are focusing on the purchasing business processes, because we do not sell anything, because right, from the household we do not sell anything. So that is why we do not have the SD module in our home business. That is why we have finance module, we have procurement module, maybe we have production module, because we are cooking something, producing something. So that you can this way you can create an analogy. So that is the first thing. Now we procure material as well as services. So we will try to see a basic purchasing lifecycle overview to learn SAP MM or any kind of ERP tool that is essential for any organization, because it is not a tool like Amazon. It is not a tool like Flipkart. That is not this tool. This SAP tool is not meant for individual purpose. It is made for business houses, so that they can manage their business well, they can track their losses well. Okay, so to understand this, first we need to change our perspective. How? There are two type of perspective there. First thing is business to consumer, and second one is business to business. So suppose business to consumer means, here you can see that quantity is smaller here in the business to consumer. Consumer means who are the consumer? You, I, and like us. There are people who are consumer, who are going to shop and actually procuring or purchasing material, and then coming back to home. So this is the simple thing, business to consumer. Because you are going to a shop means you are going to a business house, an enterprise, right? Suppose you need tea leaf, okay, for your household purposes. The quantity is smaller here in the business to consumer scenario, because you are procuring just for yourself and your family. So you need to approve the budget from which company, and which approve the budget that how much you are going to spend on raw tea leaf, and then you select the vendor and you do the quality check, and you are the logistics provider. I mean, you go to the shop and you procure the material, and then or maybe raw tea leaf, and then you come back to home. This is the simple process. So here everything is done by you. And one most important thing is that you have to pay before delivery. You have to pay to the shopkeeper, and shopkeeper packs you the raw tea leaf, and you take it to your home. This is the simple thing. Now when it comes to business scenario, obviously you can understand the quantity is much larger than B2C scenario, right? Because here the procurement is happening for the sake of the company. So the quantity is very large, and that is why the process is also very complex. Here, because of the quantity was very smaller, that is why the process was simple. Now as the quantity gets larger, the process gets more complex. Like how? So here a long decision making process is involved in B2B scenario. What is B2B scenario? Particular business is doing business with another business. Okay, so they are procuring in large quantities. Suppose you have a tea shop and you require maybe 1000 kg of raw tea leaf, and you go to a particular vendor. So it is not a process of one day work, right? Like whatever you have done in your B2C scenario, suppose your raw tea leaf has gone is finished. Now you have to go to shop, and you already you know which brand you usually buy, so you just need to tell to the shopkeeper that I need maybe 250 grams or 500 grams of tea leaves maybe for a month. So you buy it and take it to your home. But in business to business scenario, it is not that simple. You cannot go to a vendor and ask for 1000 kg of tea leaf, and then and there he gives it to you, packs it, and you take it to your home, because 1000 kg of raw tea leaf you cannot take it to your home by your own, right? So here long decision making process is involved. Why? Because more money is involved, because more quantity is involved. So the same process you have to run here. First, the budget approval process. Maybe you are the boss of your company, maybe someone else is your boss of the company you are working in. So that budget approval thing, someone higher in the hierarchy has to approve the budget first, that we have this much of budget for raw tea leaf. So the budget is approved. Now the vendor selection should be there. Who is the correct vendor who will give you the right quantity at right time at right price? That you first need to, and with the right quality should be good, because if the quality falls, then your goodwill will be ruined, because customer will eat your tea, customer will have your tea, because whatever you will produce. So if the raw material is not good, then your finished product will be not good, then the customer will be dissatisfied. So you need to keep in mind that whatever I am procuring from the vendor should be good in quality, but cheaper in price, as well as it should be delivered right at the right time, because if it is not delivered at the right time, you cannot produce tea, then your customer will find some other tea shop. Whatever promotion, whatever offer you can give to a customer, ultimately if the product is not available, then who is going to stay for you for the offers? So it is also not possible. So first thing, you have to get your budget approved. Then you have to screen your vendors. Once the vendor is screened, then PO is created. PO means purchase order. So what is the purpose of purchase order? Why it is required? Purchase order is a legal document. Why it is called a legal document? Because it is connecting two parties. One is my shop, that is one entity, and the vendor party. So you are sending the purchase order outside of your premises. So that means it creates a legal bind to you within you and the vendor. That means vendor is liable to send you the goods, whatever it is required in the purchase order, and you are also liable to pay for this for the quantity whatever you are going to receive. That is why PO is created. Now you have placed the order, that means you have sent the purchase order through email, through maybe post to the vendor, and the vendor gets the order, vendor arranges the material, and vendor sends you the goods. Now you receive the goods. So it is not possible for yourself, that you always stay at the gate of your company premises, and whenever the material is coming in, you are going to receive it in the system, or you are going to check and open the boxes and check whether the quality is fine or not. So it is not possible for you alone. Then the quality will be done, then tea will be taken to the inventory and storehouse, because the quantity is very larger. Then that is why forklifts will be used, maybe, or some other intermediate logistics provider will be there to shift your goods from one location to another location of your own company, own premises, own factory. Then if it is required by the production shop floor manager, then tea is issued to the production manager from storehouse. So you are getting the point, that the same thing here also in the B2C scenario, you are approving the budget, you are doing the quality analysis, you are selecting the vendor, you are taking it to your home. So all these steps you are doing it on your own, and you are storing it in inventory, and whenever required you are taking the tea out and making tea out of the raw tea leaves, and you consume it. So that is, the tea is the finished products for you. Now in B2B scenario, the difference is like you perform the same steps, but because the quantity is very large, you cannot do it on your own. You have to appoint some people, some group of persons who should be who should have the expertise to check the quality, who should have the expertise to receive the goods, who should have the expertise to approve the budget. So there are different kinds and groups of people who are actually assigned to a particular task. Budget approval is a job of someone else, someone higher in the authority. Authorization should be there. Vendor screening department should be there, who will only select the vendors who has knowledge of who is the right vendor, who is the correct vendor in the market for this tea leaf, because it is giving the right quantity, good quantity, right quality, and at the cheaper price than any other vendor. Then a purchasing team should be there, who will be creating the purchase order with proper item, proper material, quantity, price, and everything, whatever it is negotiated with the vendor. So everything would be created by the purchase team. The goods receipt team or inventory management team will be there, who will actually receive the goods when the goods will be arrived at your premises. Then the quality assurance team should be there. Quality team will check the quality of your raw tea material, and then the tea will be stored in your company, in your inventory. So these are the difference. And here major difference is it is paid after delivery. In B2B scenario, the payment is done after delivery, unlike B2C scenario where we pay before delivery. In B2B scenario, most of the sales are credit sales. That means you buy in credit. उधारी में लेते हैं हम लोग. क्वांटिटी बहुत लार्ज है तो पैसा भी बहुत ज़्यादा ही होगा, तो इसीलिए क्या होता है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट हैपन्स लाइक क्रेडिट सेल्स. Vendor sends us the material and again they sends us the bill, and that is called invoice, and we do make the payment for maybe after some times according to the timeline we have negotiated with the vendor. So what kind of timeline? These all things are there in SAP. We'll discuss by one. Okay, so the timeline, suppose think of a scenario like this, that okay, let me show you something else. Suppose this is the procurement cycle, basic procurement cycle. Maybe on 1st January you have a tea shop. So on 1st January we require maybe 100 kgs of tea leaf, 50 kgs of sugar, and 20 kgs of milk powder. These are required to make tea, right? Liquid tea. So we create a purchase order to maybe some ABC vendor. So we create a purchase order and we send the purchase order to that vendor. Okay. On 4th January, after 3 days, the vendor sends us the goods. So we receive the goods in our inventory, and we do the quality assignment, quality assurance, quality check. Everything is done by us, and we receive the goods in our inventory. Now, after some days, maybe 6th January, after 5 days of procurement, vendor again sends us the invoice or bill for a particular purchase order. So we again receive the purchase order, we again receive the invoice, and maybe on 11th January, after 5 days of receiving the invoice, we make the payment to the vendor. So this is the basic purchase to pay cycle. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So what are the basic steps? First you create a purchase order. First then you receive the goods, that is GR. Then you receive the invoice, that is IR, and then you make the payment to the vendor. Now for last two steps, the invoice receipt and payment, this falls particularly under FI department. Any company's FI department actually receive the invoice, record the invoice in system, and make the payment to that vendor. This is the responsibility of finance department, but it actually falls under purchase to payment cycle. If you want to see the whole cycle, purchase to payment, then this is the cycle. So 4 basic steps are involved here. First, purchase order creation. Second is goods receipt. Third is invoice receipt, and fourth is payment. Clear?
Yes.
Right. So next, go to the next step. Suppose let me explain you that okay, there are so many purchase orders, because you are not going to raise one purchase order in a year, right? In a year you might be raising 500 600 purchase orders, or maybe more than that. Okay, so your purchasing cycle, procurement cycle may look like something like this. Suppose you on 1st January you raise the first PO with all this quantity and material, okay, to a vendor. Now on 4th January, you felt that okay, I may require 10 more kg of milk powder or sugar. Okay, so you raise another PO, that is the second PO, to the same vendor maybe, or maybe other vendor. So you are raising PO on 1st January and on 4th January. On 6th January, vendor sends you the goods and you receive the goods for the first purchase order. Okay. On 11th January, you raise again another PO. Maybe you require some more tea leaf, so you send another PO to the vendor. That is the third PO. On 13th January, vendor sends you and you receive the goods for the second PO. And then vendor sends you the first invoice receipt on 16th January. And you do the first payment on 20th January, and this will go on like this. You will create PO, purchase orders, you will receive goods, you will receive invoice, you will do the payment, again you will create a purchase order. So this is an ongoing cycle, right? But maybe after 6 months you want to calculate as a company chairman or maybe owner of the shop, you want to calculate how much did you spend, how much did you spend in how much did you spend in total procurement, how much stock you have in your hand at this current point of time, what is the total spend per month. Okay, so these questions are very essential for you to judge your business, how your business is going well or not, if you are making profit or not. So you need to understand this what should I say, these numbers. Okay, but how will you calculate it? How will you know this? Can you remember whenever you have raised a PO, whenever you have received the goods, when you have received the invoice, when you have made the payment? Can you remember it manually?
No,
No.
not possible.
That is why this filing system has come up. Because for any system, any business, forget about SAP, forget about any ERP system, anything. Just try to think from the manual point of view, that we are running our business in this way. We are creating purchase order, we are receiving goods, and then we are receiving invoice. This is only the purchasing side. Then you are going to make something out of it, make tea out of it, then you are going to sell it. That is other modules, other departments. You don't have to poke your nose in those departments. You just have to concentrate on purchasing department. So purchasing cycle is like this. Okay, now continuously like this. Now to understand all these questions, to have answers all these to these questions, you need to calculate, or you need to create a filing system or document management system on your own, manually maybe, for your tea shop. What will you do? See, you can see there are 4 types of documents are here. 4 steps means 4 documents. First you create a purchase order, so that is a document. You take a printout maybe, or write something in mail, so that is the purchase order. Then when you receive the goods, vendor sends a material document with that goods. So you receive the goods, that is another document. Again the vendor sends you invoice or bill, so that is also a document, right? And when you make the payment, you just put a stamp on it like paid, and you move it to another folder, move the invoice to another folder, so that is also another document, right? So we have 4 documents in a basic purchase to procure to pay cycle, because there are 4 steps. So
Yes.
how our procurement cycle will look like? on 1st January you have raised a PO, you remember? You have raised a PO, purchase order. So you keep the purchase order, one copy of purchase order in your file, because the original copy will be sent to your vendor, right? On 4th January you have created another purchase order. Okay?
Yes.
Like this, all the documents will be placed in the files in this way. On 6th January you receive the goods. On 11th January you create another purchase order and send it to the vendor. On 13th January you again receive another segment of goods. You receive the invoice maybe for first purchase order on 16th January. You make the payment on 20th January. Now if I want to ask you these questions, that tea leaf bought in the last month, can you answer? Yes, you can answer.
Yes. Yes.
You just have to open the purchase order file. You just calculate or sum up the quantities of how much quantity you have raised for purchase order. Then you can easily calculate that this much amount you have procured, or maybe you have ordered to the vendor. How much material you have till now you have received. So you will go to the receipt section, receipt folder, and find out the quantity, sum up the quantity and find out how much quantity you have already received. Maybe for which vendor you can segregate. Maybe there are 2 or 3 vendors. So according to the vendors you can segregate, okay, this quantity I have purchased from a particular vendor. In the similar way, you can check your invoices which are outstanding, how much you have to pay till the vendor, and how much you have already paid. So you can calculate all these sums. Why it is required? Because you need to pay tax. At the year end, your accountant of your company or your bookkeeper will go to the government, will go to income tax site of government. Then that person will have to, or maybe that department, accounts department has to file a tax. That is the more important thing. So this is the thing, you have to make sure that you are doing it. So this is the manual thing, you are doing it manually. Now suppose you are making a very good profit. Okay, so you had your one tea shop 1, and you now open another tea shop in maybe some other geographical location of a city, or maybe in India you have in Vijayawada, one tea shop you have in Vijayawada, one tea shop you want to open another in Pune or maybe Mumbai. So you open another tea shop and you keep another store manager to manage the tea shop, because it is not always possible for you to visit the another shop and manage the business at that shop also, right? So there also you have created, for the sake of convenience, you have created 4 file system. In your own company you have used the 4 file system like purchase order, GR, IR, and then payment. So you already get the benefits out of it. So you have created another 4 file system in the tea shop too, right? Now
Yes.
your manager is managing, but suppose at the same point of time, at any point of time, you want to know that how your business is performing for tea shop 2. How will you know that? If you want to know, okay, at today at this point of time, what is your stock situation in factory 2 or store 2? How will you know that? Either you have to call the store manager, or either you have to visit the place manually and to check on your own that how much stock is left there, how the business is going on there, what is the production capacity is there, whether all the machines are correctly performing or not, whether account departments are keeping all the books updated or not, how the vendors are performing, what are the quality of the material. So in a business there are so many things that you have to look after, right? But it is not always possible for you to look after all the branches. You can look after one branch, you can look after maybe 2 branches, but if it is geographically located in some other place, then it is always not be possible for you to physically visit the store and check the stock quantity every time. So what will you do? you will appoint a centralized server, a server where all the information whatever you are keeping it in the file system till now, you are going to save all the information in the centralized server. So you create a template that, okay, this is the purchase order template. Whenever you are creating a purchase order, this template has to be filled in. Suppose a Word document template. So you create a Word document and you train your employees that whenever you are raising a purchase order, you raise in this format only. There is a place of material, there is a place of quantity, there is a place of price to fill in. So you want to make the system uniform, right? With your own logo, own company logo, you want to create a purchase order that you want to send it to the vendor. Maybe whatever geographical location it is, your factory might be, but you want to have the uniformity of creating purchase orders and raising it to the vendor, so that you can save it or you can store it in the system in order to calculate the prices or track the prices that you want to from the system. So whatever you do, you do not maintain the manual 4-file system. You keep all the information in a centralized server. Here SAP comes to the rescue. This centralized server is the SAP HANA database. Okay. And what this HANA database does, it actually accumulates all the information in a centralized server, and you can access the data as per your authorization or role. As per the access, you can access all the information through a graphical user interface. Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What should be the graphical user interface? Your mobile can be a graphical user interface. Your laptop can be a graphical user interface, from where you are actually accessing the data which is stored in the centralized server. Now your work will be much more easier, because you do not need to visit the factory you do not need to call the store manager every time to know the stock situation or business situation. Okay, so you can yourself go to the graphical user interface, that is shortly called GUI, maybe installed in your computer, maybe installed in your tab, maybe installed in your mobile, and you can access from there you can access all the information for your factory 2 or factory 1, or your T-shop 2 or T-shop 1. This is the main advantage we get when we employ one ERP system or a centralized server. Okay. Now what we are going to set, or what we are going to map to SAP, because till now we have seen that we have a ready to run business as a tea shop. We are taking an example of a very simple business, because SAP is so flexible that it can be implemented in a very small scale business like one tea shop, or it can be implemented in a very large scale like Tata Motors or Reliance or any like Amazon. So it can be implemented in a very big company like Apple. Okay, so it is very flexible. How we are going to map our company to SAP? Now our objective here is to run our business, our tea shop business with SAP, particularly the purchasing cycle. That we are going to see here in this course, and we are going to implement SAP in such a way for our company, so that our company can be run on SAP. We can run the business processes like purchase order, creating purchase order. These are the business processes. What are the business processes? Business processes are purchasing order creation, receiving the goods, checking the quality, storing it into the inventory, paying to the vendor, receiving the invoice. So these are the business processes. So we are going to map our company to SAP in such a way so that we can perform all the business processes in SAP. Clear?
Yes.
Any question you can ask me.
Yeah.
If you have any time, if you have any question, you can stop me and ask me. Okay.
Yes.
So in order to map our company to SAP, we need to create the similar thing in SAP. The right side is the SAP and left side is our company. So our company, there might be a group of companies like Reliance Group. So if you think of enterprise as Reliance Group, then company 1 might be Reliance Jio, company 2 might be Reliance Oil. Okay. So in this way, so according to the company 1 or company 2, we will create a company code, which will be the responsible of finance guy, who will create a company code and make the settings as per the company code. From the perspective, we have in our business, in the left side, we have several factories under one company. Let's take an example of only company 1. You can concentrate on only company 1. So in company 1, we have 2 factories, 2 plants, factory 1 or factory 2, or you can relate it to the previous picture, tea shop 1 and tea shop 2. We have 2 factories, and adjacent to the factories there are warehouses or godowns where we actually keep our raw materials or finished goods or packaging materials or semi-finished goods, right? We keep those materials in the inventory in the godown. So that is why the storage locations are also there. So in the same way, these are the organizational structure. This is called the organization structure. So our organization has a structure of company 1. Suppose we have a company, main company, and under that company we have a smaller entity, that is company 1 or the tea shop 1. And suppose one company, and one company has 2 plants, that is the tea shop 1 and tea shop 2. And then under tea shop 1 there are 2 warehouses. One is for raw material, one is for packaging material. And for factory 2 there is another warehouse, but we keep all the raw materials and packaging material at the same place. That can be happen. Okay. So in this way,
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Who creates the company's structure? Means FI consultant or consultant?
Yeah. So both of them actually creates it. Every department has its own company structure, organization structure according to their needs. So in the left side, what you are seeing, this is the general company structure, and this is the company structure for material management, for procuring, purchasing point of view. We have plant, we have warehouses. So this is the company structure. Now company code will be created by FI, because company code will have some financial transactions, will involve some financial transactions. That is why it is responsible of a purchasing of a finance guy to create or map the company code in SAP. Now the plant is a responsibility of a purchasing guy or a procurement guy, that is So the plant will be created and assigned to a company code by that is consultant, like you, I, like this. The storage location is also related to materials, because materials are going to be stored in the storage locations. Plant is not always factory. I will come to that. What is a plant in the next classes. What is a plant, we'll come to know how the plant behaves, what are the operations we can do in a plant. So because the plant and storage location, we handle materials in the plant and storage location, that is why it is responsibility of material management consultant to create a plant and storage location. But company code is a higher structure. Company is involved in many of the monetary transactions. That is why the financial guy, the finance consultant will create the company code, and then that person will give us the specifications that okay, this company code has been created in system. Now you can proceed with your settings. So you will come to know that how actually implementations are there happening. Okay, for any implementing any SAP system, we'll come to that. But for now, you just need to think that okay, we are going to map our company to SAP so that we can run all the business processes, whatever we have seen in previous slides, we can run it in SAP. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.